Christ Consciousness, December the 15th, 2022, class number 455. The Christ Consciousness. Now, when you think about that, does anybody really ever come into understanding that the Christ Consciousness means that if I am the Christ Consciousness and I am aware of nothing other than God, good, substance, just like we talked about last week, I think, and maybe even the week before, where the prophet looked at the lady and said, "What do you have in the house?" She was about to lose her home, her sons, and she went to the prophet, and he said, "What do you have in the house?" And she said, "A cruise of oil." And he said, go out and get all of these vessels, pots and pans, buckets, whatever. And then he said, pour the oil, and the one that's full, bring it to me. And then go out and sell the oil, pay your debt, and live on the rest. And I meditated that every day this week. And it dawned on me that's really, really symbology. That's symbology, allegorical. You know, it's like, how's this woman and she going to go out on the street and sell oil all day, seeing and her sons? Because it's like, no, you got to understand that from a symbolic standpoint, that oil is the oil of gladness or the oil of joy. And when he says begin to pour, I start thinking about giving thanks. I start thinking about the oil of joy. The one that's full, that'll be you, filled with joy, filled with the grace of God, which is sufficient. Bring it to me first, realizing all I have in the house is substance. We're not talking about Crisco. We're talking about substance. And bring that substance to me. Identify yourself with that. And then go sell and pay. Let me ask you something. You ever heard this term, buy-in, B-U-Y, then I-N, either with a hyphen in it, or do you need to get their buy-in to what it is that you're selling? Because when you think about it, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm selling an idea, and you guys are either buying in or you're not. But I'm still selling it. I'm also paying a debt, because what I'm doing is I'm paying it forward. By paying it forward, I mean I'm looking at you guys as spirit, as substance, and I am giving you that which I am. Selling and giving to me right there is the same thing. I'm selling you a new idea, an idea of you are the Christ consciousness. What you have in your house is substance, the joy, the oil of gladness, olive oil. All of that stuff is symbolic in the Bible. And you are bring one to me first. You're acknowledging it. You're bringing it to yourself. Elisha represented the Christ consciousness which was within her. So we're looking at the fact that because that's what we have in the house, then we can automatically realize I am in this world, but not of it. This world is a world of appearances which are the same thing that Adam and Eve saw, which was called the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And you're looking at it every day. You're looking through a glass darkly. You can't see with these natural eyes or through the natural eyes heaven, but through the gift of spiritual discernment, you can perceive, P-E-R, perceive the substance that is God. With that in mind, and you understand, I'm the Christ consciousness, I'm totally aware of this, then I can do Isaiah 45 and 11, command ye me. As we said last week, whatever the mind, Lord God, of Adam brought him, he called it, and it became that. Why? Because he is the consciousness. He's an outpicturing of the Christ consciousness, and he has the authority to call things as they are. And he can say, this is a cat, this is a dog, this is the tree, this is whatever. Whatever he called it, that's what it was. In other words, command you me. Be this in my life. Be that in my life. Now, with that in mind, I want to give you a couple of examples of my week after I got off the call with you guys last week. And I had shared with my daughter, I think I shared a little bit of this with you guys last week. If I did, forgive me for going over it again, who was losing her job because her position had been is now unbudgeted. They didn't have enough. And she had received a message from her boss that they really want to retain her, but they didn't know what to do, and they didn't have another position. So the lady took it up on herself to call another lady who had a startup contract that was getting ready to happen. And she said they've got a $10 million budget. And my daughter automatically thought, wow, well, if I'm able to land this job within my own company, if they retain me, I'm probably going to be, 6 months to a year, and I'm looking for a job again, and I really like this company. I'd like to stay here. And so she called me and said the lady was supposed to call her at 10 o'clock. Well, as you know, if people can let you down, they will. If you're looking at people as human beings, mortal beings who are trying to use God to be perfect or to be something, they can let you down. You know, what is it? The road to hell is lined with people who had good intentions. Well, that's what I'm talking about. So she said, Dad, I never got the call. And I said, well, you could reach out to her. She said, I did. I said, what'd you say? She said, I told them that, I told the lady that, I'm sorry we really didn't get to meet or to have the call at 10 o'clock. However, I'll be free the rest of the day, and you can call me at any time to schedule an interview. Well, Shauna talked back to her current boss and said another lady had called on her behalf. Now, keep in mind, I had called my daughter the substance, the spirit, the Christ consciousness. It cannot be unemployed because Jesus said what? Didn't you know I'd be about my Father's business? So she called me back later on in the afternoon and said, Dad, guess what? I said, I could probably tell you, but you go ahead and tell me. She said, the lady called me. She said, it wasn't a $10 million budget. It's a $30 million budget. And she said, it'll probably last around 2 years. And she said, and if you want the job, it's yours. That was the extent of her interview because I saw my child as the Christ consciousness in the position that she needed to be in because she needs to be about her Father's business. Not about the work or the employment of some company that you're working for, but you are about your Father's business all the time. And that position it was, you want this, it's yours. She said, well, okay, yes, I want it. They went through what it was all about and what she'd be doing. And then Shauna said, it's probably, Daddy. She said, it's probably a lateral. I said, nah, Shauna. I said, it's not. I said, God is about progression. I said, it's a promotion. She called me back the next day and said, Daddy, they promoted me to project manager. I said, yeah, I know. I said, because God is about progression. I said, look at Moses. He went backwards. Went out in the weeds, as we called it back in West Virginia, but he's back on the backside of a desert or whatever, on a mountain, wherever he was. And he gets out there and he realizes the bush which will not be consumed. It won't burn. Well, that was his Christ consciousness. That was his self, his true self. And the self said to him, well, the Greeks They interpreted it from the Greek as I am that I am. But however, what's there in Aramaic is I am the living God. There's Moses seeing I am the living God. And so what does he see next? He saw him, once he got the understanding that he was to go and free his brothers and sisters from Egypt. Remember, this is the same guy that tried to do that in and of his own, and he couldn't. But then he comes out on the backside of the desert, and the grace, which is sufficient, causes him to see himself and those children of Israel out of bondage and where they need to be. Command ye me. He's stumbling about, still coming into this consciousness, saying what? I don't speak fluently. I stutter or whatever it is. And he's like, well, you know what? If you need something, I'll bring your brother. And they get there, and what happens? They're out. They're out of there. So just like my daughter. And then she calls me back and says, Daddy, I'm going to get paid all the way up through January the 1st. And then on the 4th, I start my new job. I was like, you go, girl. You're the Christ consciousness. You got to be about your Father's business. All you got to do is continue to look and see everything as substance. I am in this world, but not of it. What do I have in the house? Me. The I am. The oil of gladness. Bring one to me first. Bring it to yourself, your true self, who you really are, and then you command it to be what you need it to be as far as you're concerned. Okay, I got one more example I'd like to share with you, and that is with my wife's cousin. He had come into a situation with his wife, and basically it was over. It was time to part as far as the two of them were concerned. And so he filed for a divorce. He got the divorce. He didn't ask for anything, even though he said that she had stolen some of his money from his 401k account and this and that, had spread lies on him, had done a bunch of stuff, tried to keep him from seeing his kids and what have you. But the kids are grown, and he was taking care of them. He got the divorce, and he was paying child support as long as he was supposed to. But his wife would go down to the courts and get a protective order, a restraining order off of him. Every time one was running out, she'd get another one. And he kept trying. They kept dragging him into court, and he got him an attorney. And then I said to him, that's not going to do that for you. He said, I need these things to stop. He said, every time I look around, he said, this has been going on for 3 years. I said, well, you have to command it to stop. He said, what do you mean? I said, you got to see it as spirit. You got to see it as substance. And you got to realize I am the substance. I am the truth. I know I've not done anything to her, and she's talking about she's afraid and that I'm stalking her and I'm trying to get her address. He said, I'm not doing this. I said, well, God will give you the right idea. You'll know what to do. I said, because you and the Father are one. Well, it came to him to write a letter. He wrote a letter to the judge and spelled out everything that had been going on for the last 3 years. Wrote it all up, passed it by his attorney. They sent it to the judge. The judge sent the letter to his wife. They had a court case coming up, and the judge, she got it on one day, and the court case was like 2 days later. They go to court. Right before they went, he called me, and he said, I'm free. I'm free of these protective orders. This is over. I'm done. I said, there you go. I said, because you have to be about your Father's business. And the Father is not going to be bound by protective orders and all this kind of stuff. He came back from the court. He said, the judge threw the protective order out, and starting on the 8th of January, I never, ever have to be under this kind of foolishness again. I said, there you go. I said, but remember this, my brother. When the prophet looked at that lady and said, go sell and pay your debts, and you get your sons, I said, once you get this off your back, you cannot go back to just living the normal human life. You are in this world, but not of it. You can't go back to, well, I got that off me now. Now I can go back to, chilling and doing things my way. You can never go back to that. You can only live by way of, I am in this world, but not of it. I am the substance. I am the truth. You have to go to that. And each time something goes awry in your life, you got to live it a different way. You can't go to worrying about it and concerned about it and what you're going to do about it. You can't go back to that. You can only look at it as this is spirit, this is substance, His grace is sufficient. I command the substance to be my freedom, to be the Christ man that I am, and I'm going to live in this. I'm going to live on the rest. That's what that means. Sell the oil, get the buy-in, and then what? Live on the rest. Rest in the fact that each time something is coming at you and it's not, it's an appearance. That's the best way to do it. Look at the appearance and go, I'm not going to fight with you. I'm going to fight the good fight of faith. That means I am the substance of the truth of this situation, and this is how I am going to adjust myself. Think about it. Jesus and his partners came to the wedding feast. They came looking for wine, and his mother said, they're running out of wine. And he said, I don't know what we're going to do. Right. What did Jesus really do? It's not my turn. I shared this with you last week. However, he had a reason. It's not my turn. What does that mean? I'm not part of this world. I'm in the substance. What does she say? Do whatever he says. And what does he do? Fill that up to so many Perkins or what have you. What amazes me about that story is it was the vat that they used for cleansing cows and whatever they were going to sacrifice. So that thing had been stained with blood, and we know good well they ain't had no sanitizer back then. And they were outside, so we know it's hot. And he said, fill it up, and they filled it up with water. And he saw it and commanded it to be wine. He didn't do anything, no fanfare, changing the wine in my name. He didn't do that. He just said, draw in and drink. Whoever drew in had buy-in, and the men at the feast, the governor, drank it and said, you saved the best for last. What does that mean? I recognize this as substance. This ain't just wine. This is substance. I see this. That's what we're talking about. Command ye me. Isaiah 45:11. Command you to what? Be the substance. I command everybody I see, you are the substance. Be the substance. I command myself. I want to be the substance, so I am the substance, the spirit, and all of that is this statement that Jesus makes. My sheep hear my voice. They know me and they obey me, and the voice of a stranger they will not follow. Now, who is a stranger? Well, a stranger is one who is without confidence. You ever commanded something to do something and didn't have confidence that it was going to do it or not? But see, Jesus was just commanding the substance to be what it already is. He wasn't trying to make it be anything. He was commanding it to be what it is. Then he says, a stranger what? Is looking to see if something is going to work. A stranger is looking for outer results. A stranger is afraid. He's worried. He's concerned. A stranger is not at peace, resting. A stranger is trying to create something that's already there, something that's already created. Why is he trying to do that? Because he does not recognize the substance, which is spirit. You see, that which I want to do, that which I want to see, that which I want to be is nothing more than the spirit. It is the substance. Go sell and pay. Who you selling it to? You're selling it to you. Do you buy into this? Do you understand that this is who you are? If so, then you can live on the rest. Because you know damn well that whatever substance you poured out, you can't pour it out all. You never can pour out. There's nothing ever missing. It's just you're giving out of the whole. But you always have to be the whole self. You cannot not be that. I and my Father, the substance, are one. What God saw and said, he called what? Very good. You see, the eyes are too pure to behold iniquity. The substance can't be error. You can't call it error. You can't call it sickness or disease. You can't call it anything evil. It can only be what God is. Very good. That's all it can be. Very good. So again, am I buying into this? I'm selling it to myself. Am I buying in? Because there's nothing else with me. There's just this Christ consciousness and awareness that all there is substance, which is God, which stands under the truth no matter what. I have dominion. As long as I realize through my Christ consciousness, it's no longer I that live, but Christ that lives in me. I know that I have the mind of Christ. Nothing can be added or taken away. I don't have to look out here to see if everything is lining up with my word. My word, which goeth forth out of my mouth, will not return unto me void, but will accomplish that whereunto it is sent. Command ye me. It will become what I call it in appearance. However, it already is that now. I'm calling it what I see. I'm not calling it and then go become that. I'm calling it what I see. Now is the only time that there is. And it appears as that which I see in mind. I just find that amazing. That is the Christ consciousness. That is the truth that we're always dealing with. Oh, let's talk about what do we know God to be. Well, Abraham knew God, which we call substance. He knew him as a friend. And Jesus knew God, the substance, as Abba, Dad, a loving parent, a father. And John knew the substance as love. Paul knew the substance as Christ. It all means I am the living God. I am the living substance. And in him, all things were made. So who made the error? Error comes as a result of looking through the glass darkly and believing, buying into appearances. Did nobody make that? That's how it looks. We have nothing to do with that. It's up to us through the gifts of the spirit of discernment to know the truth, and the truth makes us free. Error is the appearance of the absence of divine substance, the presence. Remember, a principle is always the principle, whether the outpictured results look like it or not. The principle of math does not ever look like 3 times 3 is 6. It does not ever look like 20 plus 30 is 4. It never looks like error. It's always what it is. And we, through our understanding, buy in substance of the people who taught us the rudiments of mathematics, then we can buy into it when we understand how it works. I remember one time Johnny Coleman said, it works when you work it. You see, when we see error, we must remember that omnipresence always is. There can be no change. That which God has done is done forever. I'm not telling you to go out here and look at a car that's broken down and go, oh, no. That's not true. I'm calling that God. That's not what I'm telling you. I'm telling you that right where a car is broke down, the spirit of omnipresence is right there and has never changed. On the outer, of course, things that we consider to be material, they break down. Things that we consider to be material do what? They change. They rust out. But those things, as we know, are spiritual, which is the idea of a car, the idea of transportation, the idea when the truth, when an idea has come, there's nothing more powerful than that because you catch the idea. Joel Goldsmith told Virginia Stevenson, catch the idea. That's all you're ever looking for. You already have it, but catch means buy in. Go sell and pay. Buy into this. And once you catch the idea, then it expresses. You just don't have anything to do with how or where or when. None of that has anything to do with you. It's just you have to understand I am the truth. And there just can never be any change to it. We have to know with conviction that the substance exists where the appearance of error is showing up. We have to know that that substance always is there because that's the only way it's going to get fixed. Because I understand that spirit is all there is, then this thing that looks like a material car is going to get fixed. I'm going to be sent to the right mechanic. I'm going to be directed to the right place that I need to be. Not just grab the yellow pages and start looking up people who can fix stuff. Just realize that which is to be has already been. And that which has been is now. What God does is done forever. Nothing can be put to it and nothing taken away. We have to constantly realize that error is not reality. Never, ever. You know, it's like I did a post last week, and it was when I was jogging on Saturday, and I started out, I'd been running about 5 minutes, and my head filled up with this idea, and it even had an image with it. I saw myself getting back in my truck, starting it up, and driving off and going home. And I said, man, I just started jogging. That's beautiful. I can see myself done. I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. Thomas Troward said, having seen and felt the end, one wills the means to the end. Neville said, start at the end. You see, because it's all substance. I can look in the substance and say, oh, I've got to pay this bill. Well, what if I see it paid? It's not up to me to come up with how I'm going to do it. What if I have to go to the store and get groceries and come back? I see myself opening the door to my house and coming back in the house, sitting the groceries down and putting them up in the cabinets and in the refrigerator. Why? Because that was what I was supposed to go do. Go, buy, pay, come home, put them away. What if I see the end? He says, I am Alpha and Omega. I am the end of the situation. I am the end of whatever it is that I have to do. I'm starting out at the end. Moses started out of Egypt. He started out. He didn't know anything about the Red Sea. He knew nothing. He didn't come that way. He didn't stop and go, oh, man, look at that big sea. When I bring these people out of here, how in the world am I going to get them across that sea? No, he went into Egypt by way of however he left there. It didn't say he crossed the sea when he left Egypt and came out there into the desert. And when he went back probably the same way. But when he came out, the Holy Spirit led him a different way, took him to the sea. But again, Moses is doing what? He's banking on the word that he's heard. My children have been in bondage, and I've sent you to bring them out. So he sees himself out of there. Fear not. These Egyptians that you see here today, you will see no more. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. He had buy-in. He bought into it. The water parted. They went across on dry land. And it closed up on the Egyptians. You say, wow, man, God killed all those people? No. Those people believed that they were not the substance of God. Those people believed that they were mortal. They were an army. They were under some dictator, and they were trying to do battle with divine substance. And they destroyed themselves. Error always destroys itself. Evil destroys itself because it's not a reality. So we have to understand we never can ever prove a shortage of spirit. There's never a shortage of anything. We have the mind of Christ. So the end of the story is what? Moses is out of there. They take the spoil of the Egyptians. They go across on dry land, across the Red Sea. They come out into the desert, and they stay there for 40 years. I guess that was just all of the buy-in that Moses, he did not believe he could get those people any further than where he got them. And here he is trying to show them he's striking the rock with water as opposed to speaking to it anymore. Now he's gone away from the word. He's going to strike the rock now. You know, didn't we do this? I showed you. I got y'all out of here. No. Well, you know what? I'm going to go on up in the mountains. Joshua, you take over. Joshua has the Christ consciousness. And he carries them into the promised land. And all of the error that they come up against is destroyed. That's what we've got to see. We need to know that we're living out a prophecy. Somebody has prophesied, surely, who has believed our report? Oh, wealth and riches shall be in their house. Let's say, I will be their God and they will be my people. You will live and not die. Command ye me. I will place my name in their forehead. All of these things have been said about us. Why? Because we are the substance of God. The end is at the beginning. I'm starting out with wealth and riches in my house because I have spent too long with wealth and riches not being in my house from a practical standpoint. Now, you know, this whole thing of, giving so that you can get what? You're giving because you love God, and you're giving of your substance to God first. You're seeing everything in your house as substance, from your money to your bills. It's all substance. And the moment you look at the Spirit and you say, Father, I thank you. I thank you that I am one with you. I thank you that I see this as it is. I thank you that there is nothing that is different between you and me. We are one. So therefore, I am going to Buy into the fact that this is who I am. I am created. I am your likeness. I am your appearance. You are appearing as me. And so, therefore, I have at my disposal all of the gifts of the Spirit. I have everything that is necessary. The Father knows what things we have need of. Who is the Father? Your consciousness, your awareness. The moment you look at something that you appear to need and say, oh, thank you, Father, I am the substance of this, and you see yourself using it before it shows up in your hand, that to me is a good start. That is the Alpha and the Omega. Start at the end. Pay it forward. Bring the first one to me. Go sell and pay. You automatically know that you are seeing it. You are feeling it. It is who you are. You are the substance. You buy into it. You pay it forward. You see every person on the planet as a substance. When people need, when they call, whatever it is that they appear to need, live on the rest. Live on your understanding that you are the Christ consciousness, and you are aware that they are divine substance, and you are opening out a way for that imprisoned splendor, the beauty of all of those wonderful ideas to start coming into their heart, because they have the same mind that you have. They have the mind of Christ. Do not go back to life as, I got this fixed. Now I can chill, and you start going. Here's the worst one. I got enough in my savings. I got enough in my 401k plan. I can live on that. That is not the rest. The rest is the divine substance, the spirit that you are. What do you have in the house? I have spirit. What is the house? Christ consciousness. Pour that out and watch and see the salvation of the Lord. Amen. And so it is.